Yo, so this is one about glue, which is kind of a way to get different layers to sound like they're one sound, as opposed to just separate different layers. So I've got these three sounds here. Just some random stuff to demo, and I want to glue them together. I kind of already explained the principle in different videos. So the traditional way to do this would be to get some kind of compressor and place it on the bus and then compress these together, and this is gonna apply the same volume envelope to these sounds. And it's gonna make them sound like they belong with each other. But I think there's some better ways of doing this, honestly. I've just been making a bunch of sounds, and I think you don't really need compression. You can also do it without. So number one way that I like to do this differently is that I like to use expansion. So downward expansion, which is kind of similar to gating here. You could do the same thing with something like the Kilohertz Dynamics plugin or something. Of course, you don't need Bitwig for this. So like Kilohertz Dynamic or any kind of compressor really, or expander, you know. Exactly same thing. So you can expand downwards, and basically this is going to kind of apply a gain envelope once again, but it's gonna make the dynamic range bigger rather than smaller, because it's kind of gonna turn the sound down when the sum of all of these sounds is not high enough. And then you can also expand upwards, of course. And I would recommend, especially if you want this upward expansion to kind of enhance transients, to really use a fast attack time and probably also relatively fast release. And this is gonna glue these sounds together just as well as compression is. If we compare this to this, so this is one alternative to glue compression. Just use glue expansion. That's something that I never heard about for some reason, but it's like exactly the same as glue compression, works just as well. Great stuff. And another thing you can do is that you can kind of, instead of processing one sound on the bus, you can kind of say, okay, let's say we have two layers and we have one main sound, and really we don't want to affect the main sound, but we do want kind of our layers to follow the main sound, to glue them to the main sound. We can also do that by just simply getting a dynamics here and using the main sound as a sidechain input. So just gonna get the main sound here, and then simply, for example, gating these to the main sound. So now these layers here are only gonna play when the main sound is playing, and they're gonna be kind of muted when the main sound isn't playing. So we kind of set up our gate, make it relatively fast, and you'll see here. And we can also expand these to the main sound. Yeah. Once again, fast attack. Makes them kind of follow the movement of the main sound and therefore kind of glues them to the main sound. And another kind of interesting thing you can do with this, with upwards expansion, is that you can kind of bias this towards transients. This is a Bitwig specific thing. You can't really do this in other software as far as I'm aware. Probably some way. There's always a way to do something, but like, it's easy in Bitwig. Just place a transient shaper in the sidechain FX. Now make the compressor here, the transients, as louder. So basically it's going to expand the transients more now. And this can really sort of help this match the beats of another sound. So we've got a layer here, and that's going to kind of follow the beat of the other sound. So like, let me just put my spectrum analyzer with my little voice here on. So something like this. Now this really follows the rhythm of this main sound here. So yeah, just something I wanted to talk about, a couple of alternatives to kind of glue compression, because I feel like glue compression is often you want more dynamic range, not less, and often you want to exaggerate movements rather than kind of cut them off, which you would do with compression. So this kind of alternative, which is glue expansion, is really the better alternative in my opinion in a lot of cases. And then both the sidechain and the stuff on the bus. So yeah, some ideas to play with. Cheers.